I'd like to welcome Mr. Kamani Anku. He is a gardening coach and he is a DMV native who found a love of gardening and producing his own food over 10 years ago through unconventional means. He's definitely been through some seasons and has come out better and stronger. So much better, in fact, that he's turned his passion into a successful garden coach service. In his free time, Mr. Anku engages in youth programming and lending his services to fight food insecurity in Prince George's County. Welcome, Mr. Anku.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. You can pull up the PowerPoint, but I'm happy to be here. Thank you. Sorry about the noise. I wanted to be in the elements today, so you might hear some noise. But Michelle, if you could bring up the PowerPoint, and then we can get started.
How does that look?
Yes, it looks great.
Okay.
So today is Gardening 101, Gardening for Your Well-Being at Every Space, presented by me, Kamani Anku, and Gardening and Beats. We can go to the next slide.
Okay, give me 1 second. Go.
So the presentation today will be starting your first garden, small or big, maintaining your garden, fall gardening with a quick demo, hydroponic gardening with a demo, microgreens, microgreen gardening, and then a few questions and answers. Next slide. So I always start out with a planting wisdom. So this is a quote I like to always use. The love of gardening is a seed once sowed, never dies. Gretchen Jeffers. Okay, we can go. And I always love that quote. It just sums up everything. When you plant a seed, my mom planted a seed, and I'll get into that story too right now. So why do we do gardening? It's a wonderful hobby. It can improve your health. It can give you a better life and a greater world. It can save you money on food. It's free therapy, and it can even save your life. And when I say even save your life, that's what happened to me. So I got in garden through some unconventional ways. As the bio said, I've been through the storm. A few years ago, I fell into, this is a warning to everyone, because it does have some harsh words in it. But yeah, I fell into a bad state of depression. I thought about suicide, and my mom was like, you got to start a garden. It can definitely help you. I haven't been a gardener, never wanted to be a gardener, never wanted to be outside. I paid kids in my neighborhood to cut my grass all the time. And my mom somehow convinced me to do it. I lost my really great job in broadcast journalism. I had to file bankruptcy at age 25. I had to sell my car for $1 to my mom. I almost lost my house. So I was in a bad state of depression, eating a lot of junk food. My mom was like, start that garden. You have to start that garden. And after a bit of hesitation, I actually started my garden. She was like, well, to start it, just do what you love with types of food that you love. So I said, well, I love chives and I love strawberries. And so I decided to do chives and strawberries. And 12 years later now, the chives and the strawberries are still growing in my yard. I can't believe it. It's the same ones. I actually had to dig up the strawberries and put them in barrels because they took over the garden. They were everywhere, all upside the house, all on the fence. It was a bunch of strawberries, but I was like, I can't grow anything else. So I did that, and then my health started going down because I was still eating a lot of junk food because I was still depressed. I didn't work for a whole year and a half. And so I was like, okay, I got the garden going. I need to go to the doctor and see what's going on with me. So I finally went to the doctor and he was like, oh my God, you came at the right time. You're gonna have high blood pressure, you're gonna have diabetes, you're gonna have high cholesterol, and you're not gonna do so good. You need to lose some weight, blah, 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 blah. And I was scared to death. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want to fall back down into that depressed state because the garden was going well. And then I actually started putting other stuff in the ground that I normally don't eat, like eggplants and peppers, cucumbers. And so this was the summer. So I finally started getting those things. And then I told the doctor, give me 3 months and I'll come back at the end of the summer, and I promise you, I'll change my diet. I'll change everything. I ran home. I started putting more seeds in the garden. I started reading up how to get rid of high cholesterol in a fast way. My count, he said should have been in the hospital because my high cholesterol was so high. I started reading about how I can do stuff. One was Concord grape juice and vinegar. So I got that and I started working on that. And then I started looking up how to do like raw foods and how to use the stuff in the garden to make me more healthy. And then 3 months later, I went back to the doctor. Long story short, I went back to the doctor. I was at 185. I'm a little shorty, so that was not good for me. And so I went back to the doctor. I went from 185 to 130, and it was incredible.
Wow.
And the doctor was like, I don't even need to test your blood because I know it's already good, but I'm just going to do it anyway. But I already know. And he's like, I need you to come back and talk to my patients how to do this because it is a way to change your diet and to correct everything. And that was my first opportunity to speak. And I went and I spoke to the people, and I still work with some of those people, helping them grow a garden and change their lives. Now, I didn't think it was a big impact at first, but then until the coronavirus hit or the pandemic hit, I was like, oh, this is big. And so I started a coaching business. And last year, when the pandemic started, I worked with 13 new families, and most of them single parent families, how to grow food. And it's been taking off ever since. I've done a lot of podcasts, and from there, I think that's where William heard me on a podcast, and he's like, "You need to be at the conference. You need to be at the single parent conference." And a couple other places started booking me for speaking engagements, and I just go out and tell my story. And this is how gardening saved my life. Go to
Wow.
the next slide. So choosing a location for starting a garden. So we're gonna get into that. This is how to start a small garden, whether it's outside, inside, patio, balcony, and what else? Maybe a community garden that you could get involved with. But most vegetables and herbs that you can grow at home need two things: sunlight and well-drained soil. That means that when you're considering places in your yard or home or balcony or patio to plant a garden, you need to look for a location that gets 6 or more hours of sunlight a day and that the soil is well drained. Many people also consider convenience when selecting places to start growing a garden. For example, planting near the kitchen or the house would make it easier to harvest vegetables and herbs from the herb garden or the vegetable garden. Some things you can plant, and you can do like I got some grow bags. If you have a patio or balcony, you can use grow bags. If you live in a townhouse and you can't dig in your yard, you can use a grow bag. That's a small grow bag. This is probably good for maybe spinach, lettuce. And then this is a larger grow bag. Let me see if you can see it. Yeah, a larger one that you can probably grow potatoes, um, turmeric, ginger, sweet potatoes in those bags. So I grow like now I grow about 40% of my own food. So in my grow bags, I currently have sweet potatoes growing, and they'll be ready around November, which I'm excited because it's great for Thanksgiving. You can make a sweet potato pie, you can make a sweet potato casserole. And I had to learn how to make all those things. I wasn't a chef, and I had to learn all those things. I have some turmeric that I'm growing in a grow bag, and I make my own soap to clean my face. I have pretty good skin now that I drink lots of water and turmeric, rubbing that on my face. People say, how do you get those red cheeks? And I was like, do you got makeup on? I was like, no, I have no makeup on. I'm not opposed to having some makeup on if I'm in front of the camera, but no, I have red cheeks because I put turmeric on it every day. So that's one thing that you can grow. And then you can save money. All this stuff, you can save money. We have a yard that you can put a peach tree in. Oh, I picked a peach this morning.
That's from your own
Yes,
garden.
own
Wow.
garden. I have this crazy looking tomato now. It's called a zebra.
Oh.
Um, Oh, there it is, a zebra tomato. I want to see it get really red. This is my first time growing this, but I want to cut it open and see if it's like tie-dye zebra like in the inside. I'm really excited about that. This is another one that I grow. This is a lemon cucumber. It
Oh,
has a hint of lemon flavor with a taste of cucumber in it. And then I love peppers. Love, love, love peppers. So I got cayenne peppers,
oh,
which I'm gonna take and then dry out, and then I'm gonna make like a spice, like a sea salt, cayenne pepper spice, and that's good for soups and everything in the wintertime. This is a banana pepper. I love them on sandwiches when I am eating meat or with chicken sandwiches. I like to chop them up, but I'm gonna pickle these. These gonna be kosher banana peppers, and then I have some red jalapenos. Most people haven't seen red jalapenos, but I have some
mm-mm.
red jalapenos. And this is,
Are they hotter than the regular
yeah, they're hot.
jalapeno? Okay.
And I love eggplant now. Since I'm on a raw food diet right now, I take this and slice it really thin and dehydrate it and make eggplant bacon. And people are really surprised. So most people are known for eating like a BLT. This is like an eggplant LT. It's really, really, really
Never would have thought of that.
good. Most people like what? But yeah, it's really good. You just dehydrate it in the dehydrator for 24 hours. You make a marinade with maple syrup, um, liquid smoke, cayenne pepper, Worcestershire sauce, a vegan version, and then some garlic, and then you kind of mix that up, salt and pepper, and then you season it, let it marinate for half a day, and then put it in the dehydrator overnight. Then the next day you can have an eggplant BLT, and
Wow.
also figs. Mm.
Oh,
Huh.
So if folks have a gardening or a big backyard, they can grow a fig tree, or you can have a small fig tree. Last summer, my figs family came in, so I invited my little brother over to the garden to see the garden. We haven't seen each other for half a year because of the pandemic. He came, he ate all my figs off the tree. So for Christmas, I got him a fig tree, and he lived in an apartment which has a balcony. So now he has a small fig tree on his balcony, growing his own figs, so he don't need to come and eat my figs up. So yeah, so just to recap on choosing a location and starting a garden, it's just like they need sunlight and they need well-drained soil. If you're in a house, you can get some grow lights. I'll talk about grow lights as we move further down in the presentation, but you just need some grow lights, um, a south-facing window or a west-facing window, a north-facing window will work as well. And it can go to the next slide. So preparing the soil before you plant a garden. Once you choose your location for growing a garden, you will need to prepare the soil. If the soil is sandy or clay heavy, and add plenty of compost. Even if your soil is in pretty good condition, working compost in the soil will help provide nutrients to the garden while they're growing. When growing herbs and vegetables, well, when growing herbs, do not compost the herbs because the manure in the herb garden could potentially burn the herbs. So you want to kind of stick with manure or composting around like your vegetable garden. And that's really big. I have a great compost system in my backyard. No food is wasted here. No green leaves are wasted here. No leaves are wasted here. No brown cardboard is wasted here and go to a recycle bin to go right into my compost bin. I have what's that, like a 60-gallon compost bin that I got from Aldi's. On a budget, the compost bin cost maybe $40. I was shocked. I was like, I don't have no money for a compost bin, the ones I was seeing on Amazon and everything. So this is a good money saver if you go to Aldi's parents. You can get a compost bin for maybe less than $40. Now, did I think it would last this long? No, because I paid $40. But I had it now for 6 years and it works great. So I throw everything in there. The only thing I have to watch out sometimes is when I throw maybe a rotten tomato in there that I let sit for a little bit longer because next year when I come back, I put compost everywhere and then it's tomato plants in my entire yard, maybe in the front yard, but doesn't love tomatoes. So plenty of
I do
tomatoes.
not like tomatoes.
Okay.
I am the only Italian that does not like tomatoes.
Oh no, that's insane.
I like them cooked, actually. I just don't like them raw.
Yeah.
So,
So
yeah.
yeah, plenty of tomatoes. And then that can happen with anything. So classic example, I put a pomegranate in my compost bin. I was like, pomegranates can't grow in Maryland. I have three pomegranate trees in my backyard. One is blooming and have pomegranates on it. The other two is kind of like really growing out of control, but they haven't produced anything. Those I actually brought in the house this past winter, but the one that was in the ground, I said I'm gonna see what happens. And so I left it over the winter. I did wrap it in some garden cloth, and Lord behold, it's back again and it's fruiting. So throw a pomegranate in your compost bin, folks, and get that cheap pomegranate. I mean that cheap compost bin from Aldi's and start composting. I compost, like I said, everything. My grass clippings. The only thing I don't try to put in there is weeds. But if you let the weeds dry out, um, you can put the weeds in there because they won't. They're not able to grow again once they die out and dry out. Okay, you can move to the next slide. Choosing the right vegetables to grow in your garden. I like to say start off with what you like and build off of that. So when I started my garden through my dark past, I started with strawberries and chives, and they continue to grow in my backyard. But yeah, which vegetables you grow in your garden depends on largely what you would like to grow, and almost all vegetables will grow for at least one season. However, you will grow. There's some that will grow year after year. Some common and easy vegetables to grow when first starting a garden is definitely lettuce, green peas, radishes, carrots. Yeah, definitely carrots. Um, these are black carrots. Kale, Swiss chard, beets, and squash. Those are the most easiest ones, the fastest turnaround ever. I believe you can plant some radishes, and I can plant radishes today, and in 25 days, I will have big fat radishes coming out my garden, um, which is really, really remarkable. These are some new ones that I grew this year. It's kind of have like a white and red look. It's supposed to be like a watermelon radish. Yeah, so it's supposed to look like a watermelon when you cut it open. I haven't picked those yet, but I like to juice my beets, and I just started getting into oven roasted beets. So I get some beets, cut them open, sprinkle them with garlic, um, garlic salt that I made from our garden as well, and a little ground pepper, a little avocado oil, and put it in the oven and roast them. Really, really, really good. You can go to the next slide, but remember to start off with what you like and build off of that. As I said, I grow 40% of my own food. So I started with the strawberries and chives again, and then I built off of that. Mostly stuff that I wasn't eating at the time. Eggplant. I never had eggplant, but I like the way it looked in the store, so I got it from one of those big box stores. And then I just built off of that. Now I grow 40% of my own food. The majority of the food was stuff that I never grown and never ate before. And I learned how to eat those and prepare those. And so my garden coach service is about growing those different types of food. And then once you grow those, what do you do next? Harvest them, and then I show people how to cook those and then prepare them. And then we go into canning and drying them out and all kinds of stuff. That's going to come later in the presentation. With herbs as well, you always start with the herbs that you like the most. Same setup, they at least grow for one season. Some will grow year after year, like rosemary, thyme, sage. You just put them in the ground, put them in a pot, put them in the kitchen window, put them in a hydroponic system, and go for it. Some of the easy ones to grow are definitely basil. I have basil forever. So I never even grow basil seeds anymore or take basil seeds and put them in the soil anymore. Every year I just keep clipping it, put that in water. They root when it's the winter time. I put them in the hydroponic system. Once they grow big, I clip them again, put them like more water. I keep basil like a house plant. So I just keep on propagating it and propagating. And that way I don't never have to buy basil again. So that's a saving tip, parents. We want to save on money. You like basil on your pizza, your spaghetti. You know, this is a good saving tip. Keep on propagating that basil like it's a house plant. Another easy plant to grow is oregano, again, rosemary, chives, mint, sage, and dill. Now, mint, you want to be very careful with mint. When you grow mint, you do not want to put it in the ground. You want to keep it in a container or some type of pot because it will take over your entire yard. When I say take over, it will literally take over your entire house. But if you live in a house and you have rodents outside, like little mice and rats maybe that want to try to creep into your house, you put the mint around your foundation of your house, and that definitely keeps them away. And then I want to talk about chives real quick. So chives last year, it was the first time I actually saw, well, I always saw the blooms on the chives, but I never ate the blooms. So they get these furry purple puff balls that look like pom-poms. And I was like, hey, I'm gonna try it because I'm into edible flowers now. So when I took off the bloom and I put the chives on a salad and some tacos, oh my God, it changed my life. So now I eat the entire chives, the chive blooms, the chives. And then what I also do is I cut them up and I freeze dry them, or I put them in ice cube trays and freeze them. So when I want with butter or olive oil or avocado oil, and then I use that when I'm cooking. I want a chive flavor, really good. Or a salad, I can sprinkle the dry chives on it. We can go to the next slide.
And Kamani, I will tell you, we have about 22 minutes left.
Okay, I'll go really quick through these. Planting and growing vegetables again. Vegetables and herbs can start from seed. That's the best way to start your garden. Like I said, I was gonna do a demo on that, but we might skip the demo. But yeah, always start from seeds because it's easier. It's cheap. You can get a pack of seeds for maybe $1. This probably has like 2,000 seeds, so you could potentially have 2,000 carrots at one point. You kind of save the seeds. Don't plant them all together at once. Plant them a couple times. I like to plant them like around now. That way, like November, I can have some nice little carrots. The juice, we got some rainbow carrots. And then once you harvest them, harvest all the time, harvest daily. Okay, that sums up that slide. You can go to the next. Show love to your plants. This is the best thing I love. So my business is called Gardening and Beats. So it's gardening, healthy eating, and music. So this is where I put in the music part. Show your love some plants. Checking them daily like they're your babies. Play with them, talk to them, water them thoroughly from the top inch of the soil, not spray on the leaves, because if you spray on the leaves and it's really, really hot outside, they could potentially burn them. But when you're in the winter garden or fall garden, you still got to get out there and water. You just put your big coat on, your big hat, and your gloves, turn that water on, go out there really quick and wet those fall gardens. We're going to get into the fall gardening vegetables in a minute. Keep them growing, keep pruning them back, keep clipping them, keep harvesting them so they can keep growing throughout the season. When you're growing something, you want to kind of like, well, when you harvest it, you want to kind of, this is a pineapple, by the way, that I'm about to start growing. You pull from the bottom leaves, and then eventually down at the bottom, more leaves will grow out of whatever vegetable you're growing, whether that be basil, eggplant, cucumbers, tomatoes. And then don't forget to dance and play music for your herbs and vegetables. I'm outside early in the morning playing some jazz. I start off with jazz because my neighbors, I live by neighbors, so I don't want to be too loud. So I'll play a little light jazz, some Billie Holiday. What else? Miles Davis. I play a little bit of that, and the garden really loves it. As it gets doing more, more people are waking up. Then I might get into some hip hop, and the plants really love it. I think they can see me dancing and singing to them, and you got to show your plants some love, so that way they'll keep growing. To the next slide, and then fall garden. So you you can start many autumn crops while the weather is still hot. You know, it's hot outside. I have a fan blowing on me in case it was really hot under a tent. I do have a light on, so you know I got to keep cool. Got my water, but this is the best time to start your fall garden. Some of them might be in high season in the vegetable garden with the tomatoes, the squash, and other warm season plants like watermelons, cucumbers, melons, honeydew, peaches. But this is the time you start planting your fall crops like beets, bok choy, broccoli, green beans, cabbage, carrots, cauliflower, kale, lettuce, peas, radishes, spinach, Swiss chard, turnips, and root vegetables in the same family. And that's when I was going to do a demo for everyone, but we're going to move quickly. But if you want to start a fall garden, you get you some potting soil. I like this brand called Jiffy. Get that. Get some cups with holes in it, put the soil in it, sprinkle a little seeds in it, water it, good to go. It's still hot, so they're gonna germinate really fast. And so by the time late August come, they'll probably be like maybe 2 inches, 3 inches high. Then you can put those in the ground, and they can grow until probably like November. All these vegetables can grow until November. Some will even grow through the winter. You might need to get a cover cloth, fabric cover cloth if you're outside. And some of these vegetables can grow in the house, like beets, bok choy, with a kale, lettuce, spinach, Swiss chard can actually grow in the house if you can't grow in a garden. You just get those same grow bags and do it. Make sure you put it in front of a window, a nice sunny window, water it on a regular, and then you can have some lettuce in the house. We can go to the next slide. And then again, harvest frequently. The more you harvest, the better your crops do. So if in your house, you eat that lettuce every day, you grow that lettuce, don't pull the lettuce all the way out, you just clip it. And so that way the lettuce continue to grow, or the basil will continue to grow. I talked about how I propagate the basil. You can do that same with the lettuce. You just keep on pulling it and it can keep on growing as long as you would like for it to grow. And then you just keep on. That helps strengthen the plant and help produce more plant power to keep it growing. My tomatoes are here. They'll probably be here until like November because they're out of control right now. We can go to the next slide. I'm trying to get through. 6 things to do with your vegetable harvest. Freeze them, make sauces and soup, fry them, make your own flour and pasta, juice them, and then save your seeds. So I do all of those things. I freeze them. A lot of the things what I do with the string beans, I pick the string beans. If there's a large amount of string beans, I take them, I put some herbs in it, some spices in it, and then I freeze dry them through a machine that I have that costs about $30 at Walmart. Parents, you can save on that. And then you just freeze them. And then when you want them, you can take that same bag and put them in a pot of boiling water. And there you go. Like those little bag veggies that you can buy at the grocery store that cost like $4 just because they freeze dry, but you know you can do it for like $1 or whatever. That's how you do it. You save money. Get a freezer and use a separate freezer or whatever freezer you might have and start saving all your stuff and freeze them up for the whole winter. Make sauces. I love to make my own tomato sauce now. Oh my God. So I got so much basil, so many tomatoes. I love to make tomato sauce. I have butternut squash. I love to make butternut squash soup, and then I save it. You can dry them out, and then you can sprinkle them on food. You can dry the basil out, sprinkle it on the pizza, your spaghetti. If you don't want fresh basil, you just sprinkle the flakes. You can make your own flour and pasta. That's the great thing I got into now. You can I take collard greens and I dry them out and I make my own collard green and kale flour. And then I make my own ravioli and my own noodles and different things. Most
Wow.
important is juicing. I try to live my life healthy And so I juice almost every day. If I don't, maybe I'll do it once. If it's beets, I'll do it once a week, and then I'll save like a gallon of beet juice and then drink that all week. And then most important, save your seed. Even if you're not getting seeds, if you go to a grocery store and you get a tomato, once you cut it off, you can flake off some of the seeds, dry them out, and then when it's time to plant your tomatoes, you can plant them. Next slide. Saving your own seeds from anything that you purchase from the grocery store. You can do that with a peach. It might take a long time to get a peach tree if you start from a seed that you bought from a peach from the grocery store, but you can. 10 things you can make with too many herbs. Again, you can freeze them, you can chop them up, you can dry them, you can drink them. When I say drink them again, number 5, I mean you can put it in a cocktail, because our single parents, sometimes we need a cocktail drink. Dealing with 2 or 3 kids, so you can make those mint mojitos, and then you can have a nice little drink straight from the garden. You can make scrubs. I know women like to take care of their face and their skin. You can make salt scrubs with the herbs, make oils with the lavender and rosemary out your yard. You can make butters. I love to make butter. I'll take all my herbs and I put them in ice cube trays. Then I fill it up with like either a vegan butter or regular butter. When I want to be a fat boy, I do some regular butter. And then you can make some puree. And then most of all, you can make bouquets. So I have I will get up and show you, but I have a eucalyptus plant, and I like to take the eucalyptus plant and cut those up and make bouquets, and then hang them over the shower. So when the shower comes on, it hits the bouquet and it releases the eucalyptus, and it's really like a good steam bath. Really, really great.
Nice.
Next slide. Ooh, and then hydroponic garden. What is hydroponic garden? Put simply, hydroponic is a way to skip the soil, sub in a different material, to support roots of the plant and grow crops directly in nutrient-rich water. These are multiple approaches to design hydroponic system, but the core elements are simply the same. So parents, you can go online, you can find cheap ways to get a hydroponic system. And that's if you don't have a yard. If you live in a townhouse, you can grow in your townhouse because of with the HO restrictions or whatever it's called, I can't remember. If you can't grow inside a window in the house because you don't have a big sunny window, then you just get you a hydroponic system. Ta-da! I have one. So the best time to purchase one of these things is around the holidays when they're really discounted. Parents, you can get them really cheap, and then you can order some of these little thingies here. These are pods. This one comes with seeds already in this one. This is some kind of flower, but you can get these, and then you fill the tank up with water. You pop in the pod. You can schedule it, put it on a timer. That way you saving energy and on your light bills and all of that good stuff. So pop that in, and you can grow anything in it. That's the crazy part of it. You can grow anything with the seed. So they do sell them, these little pot things with just the little cocoa core dirt in it. It has a little hole in the inside, and then you can just take a seed, like a carrot seed, and you just pop 2 or 3 in there, put it in the pot holder, fill it up, set the timer, and it grows. You might have to add some nutrients later on to help it grow even bigger. But I tried tomatoes over the pandemic in the wintertime, and literally I had tomatoes growing throughout my kitchen. It was crazy. I'll never do that again, but you have you have fresh tomatoes, because tomatoes kind of viney too, a little bit, not as viney, but they can grow all over. They grew out of the structure. So you can this one is a smaller one, so you can like make a height, but the tomatoes actually grew out of this and came over and continue to grow all over the kitchen. But they have tower ones. Those are more expensive ones, but because we're talking with single parents, this is a really easy, compact one that you can place in your kitchen. You can place in your bedroom. You can place on your dining room table, bathroom if you like. And depending on if you're growing some herbs, you can put a lavender in there and then sit that lavender right in your bedroom, and that can help you sleep well. And yeah, hydroponic, quick hydroponic
Nice.
lesson. And then the next slide.
And Beverly just sent us a message that in about 9 minutes we'll be brought back, or the session will end. So I just want to let you know that.
Okay, it's about to wrap. And microgreen gardening. What is microgreens? Microgreens are basically seedlings of vegetables and herbs when they are grown up to only 2 to 3 inches. So you can start with some carrot seeds again. Get you some soil. Get a little tray or a little pot like I showed you. Put some dirt in there. Put the carrot seeds in there. And as you can see in the picture, once they get about that size, you can clip them, and then you can eat them. And you can put them on salads. You can put on breads. You can put it on spaghetti, and then you have some. I'm growing some now. They look like bean sprouts, but these are actually um, arugula because these are spicy microgreens. I like it really spicy. So microgreens, these are arugula and radishes. So you just take them and you harvest. You can put on a nice pastrami sandwich. I've seen people put it on pastrami sandwiches. They're really good because it adds a little spice. You can put it on a salad. Or you could just make a microgreen sandwich. You know, get you some tomato and some microgreens, and they're really beneficial to you. If you go to the next slide real quick. And then these are all the benefits you can get. They contain 4 to 40 times more nutrients than a mature counterpart. They're rich in nutrients such as vitamins, minerals, keratin, essential amino acids, and that boost the immune system. You know, still going through COVID, so you want to have your immune system boost, heart problems, lower inflammation, expensive multivitamins, minerals, and you can use these, get a pack of seeds and grow microgreens all year long. You don't have to do it outside. You can put them right in the window. Really takes about maybe 5 days to get a little stack of them, and you just keep clipping them, water, clip them, and then you have a whole carton of microgreens, which is really, really good. They have really come into a big deal now. Now we have microgreen farmers that's producing microgreens at a faster rate. This way you can do it yourself, so you'll know what kind of fertilizer they might be using in it. So you can do that yourself. Now, really inexpensive. They have kits now too. You can get a kit at one of those big box stores and start one depending on what you type. Like, don't get fooled by just the label microgreens. Microgreens are just any kind of seed that does not mature. You want it like right at 2 to 3 inches, and then you can start eating those. Next slide. And then for spring, if you live in a house, you live in an apartment, you live on a balcony, you got a patio, go big. If you want to get a big hydroponic system, you can save up your money all winter or ask for a hydroponic system for Christmas and get a real big one, and then you can start growing. And you can be thinking about that over the winter time. When November comes, it's cold outside, you're in the house, start thinking about what you want to grow, new foods you want to grow, always add something different. And then, like I said, just go big. And then that way you can save all types of money. You don't have to go to the grocery store for anything other than maybe meats and things you can't get, like mangoes or bananas. I do have a fruited banana tree in my backyard, which is exciting. They don't get as big, but they get about this big. But they're starting to flower, so I'm really excited that I spent the money and saved up that money to get that banana tree. Now I do have to take that in the house, and I have a navel orange tree, I have a lemon tree, and then I have 7 pineapples. So one of my demonstrations, wow, how to grow a pineapple, we didn't get to that, but you just cut the top off. And this is one that I grew myself, and I'm rooting it right now in some water. But later on, I'm gonna use some rooting powder or liquid to put that in some soil because the fall is coming up. I gotta put them in the house. And to get a pineapple, it takes about 2 to 3 years growing. And I think the investment is really, really great. I got one from Hawaii. I smuggled one in from Hawaii.
Lala, we didn't hear that. We didn't hear that.
Okay, we didn't get that. Sorry about that. But I have one from Hawaii and it's actually starting to fruit. So that won't have to go in the house probably in the fall. And then I'll put it under a grow light. And then it'll probably be a pineapple in the house during the winter. And then I have fresh pineapple. Next slide. And then congratulations, you earned your official green thumb from me as you start your journey garden for a more peaceful space within your mind, your body, your soul, with curating your own garden. And then I'll say for more great tips on growing, harvesting, cooking with herbs and vegetables, you can check me out on all social media platforms. You can go to my link tree at Garden and Beats, and you can sign up on my mailing list if you're not on social media. And then next slide. And be sure to follow me on Instagram if you're on Instagram for daily tips, fun, exciting things in the garden. I just started producing because my degree is in my master's in journalism and film. So I'm starting like some film stuff where I'm doing something called the Mission Impossible Garden Series. So it's based off the Mission Impossible series from the 60s. And I do my own spin to it, which is gardening. The first episode revolves around me and my wife starting a garden. And somehow we got a hold of some bad fertilizer. And some people don't know. So the mystery is the fertilizer is something wrong with it. So on the next episode, episode 2, we're gonna focus on a big dream fertilizer. And me and my agents gotta shut it down because she's putting out this bad fertilizer. So it's kind of like suspenseful and mystery. You don't know what's gonna happen. And then it goes really, really quick because Instagram has a thing called Reels and I do it on Reels. So I wanted to learn how to write in a 60-second format. And so I think I kind of nailed it. I just, happy that people are loving. The last one I showed was, I run them back to back 4 days a week because it's 4 episodes because that gives me 4 minutes. And the last one, really people showed out and really liked it, really talked about it. And that was the cliffhanger with the toxic fertilizer. So that's just a preview for people.